Welcome back to another episode of the Gathering Place podcast.
You know what I realized we don't do anymore? And it's good because we've lost count. What number podcast we're on.
Thank Jesus.
Oh,
because
yay!
that was the hardest thing to keep up with was like, is this episode 13 or
I totally
15?
interrupted
I don't know.
your
So
Aiken, South Carolina, Augusta, Georgia introduction.
yes, you did. So let's do it. I am Joe Seaman, a real estate agent in the Augusta, Georgia, Aiken, South Carolina market. This is my lovely bride,
Hope, and I'm a Jill of all trades. That's what I'm going to start calling myself.
She's so funny. Hope mans the ship.
I
try. She is the everything.
I don't know about everything, but I
really,
do try.
like,
I do try.
Everything that we've got going on. So,
I do try. Family.
From family and homeschool to
just life in general. I try
real
to keep us
estate
on the right track. People will say, not my circus, not my monkeys. It is my circus. It is my monkeys.
you got a big old circus.
I got a big old circus.
You got big circus and a lot of monkeys.
Yeah.
So-
Speaking of that, so that kind of brings us into today.
It can be a circus in real estate.
It can be
guys.
a circus in real estate.
Like there are.
I have learned that. I've learned that over the last year doing transaction work. And in our previous podcast, I'm sure you've heard we had some like why it's important to choose a good real estate agent and to represent you, because I have some stories of some bad ones.
And I think it's it can be a circus. Like we run our team as a business.
You have to, I think.
But there's a lot that don't. There
Right.
are a lot that just happen to get a real estate license. And because the barrier to entry into real estate is so low, there's not a lot. In South Carolina, pass a 90-hour course, take the course test, the state exam.
I'm going to tell you it's still hard.
Yeah, but boom, you have your real estate license. So there is no get this insurance and make sure you have this policy and make sure you have this in place and nothing like that to get a real estate license and sell hundreds of thousands of dollars of homes.
Yeah. I remember your coach, she posted something the other day. It was funny, and it was a kid, and the kid was being thrown out of the swing, and it was like, this is you having just got newly licensed and having to basically, you learned all this material that you're not even going to use throughout your real estate career.
Now that is very true.
I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so true.
I say that all the time to people studying for the real estate exam.
It's one of the reasons why I haven't done real estate. The core, I did get it. I didn't start it. And I didn't finish. It's because I don't want to take that test and I don't want to learn all that stuff that I don't need. Because
you got to learn it. I say learn it enough to pass the test.
And then I'm also afraid you're going to keep me even more busy than I already am.
I probably would, because
if I got my real estate license. So I like doing what I'm doing, being what is the ringmaster of the circus? That's what
the
I like.
ringmaster.
There we go.
And you are. You're good at being the ringmaster of the circus.
Yes, there we go.
I think that is an issue in the real estate industry. Is the bar is just so low. The barrier to entry is just so low to become a real estate agent and help people with the largest, most of the time, the largest financial decision they'll ever make.
Yes.
And you've got these one offers that give the part-time effort, because I'm not against the part-time agent. I'm against the part-time effort. And there's a lot of full-time agents that give part-time effort. And it drives me insane because we run this so much like a business. We have processes and systems, and it's nothing out there that I have come across. I know there are programs on different sites and stuff that you can buy, but Lindsay and I literally built our processes 3 or 4 years ago because there was nothing all encompassing that I needed, because I'm like, okay, well, this is great. We can buy this on Etsy, but what about all the 20 other steps that you have to do? That wasn't there. So we literally built our processes, and I would put our systems up against any mega team across the United States, because we have just got such ironclad, great processes and systems. We've got systems for everything, all the way down to how do you run an open house? We have a process for it. And so that's the importance of having a good real estate agent and not just that one-off agent that might do 1 or 2 or even 8 deals a year. Like, who do you really want helping you through your biggest transaction that biggest financial transaction that you're ever going to make? Do you want the agent that's done 1, none, 2 transactions?
I would even say that.
And I'm not saying that because we all have to start somewhere.
You have to start somewhere.
Or do you want the one that has done 5, 6, 700 transactions?
Or do you want the one who just knows how to work for their client? That's the thing. That's what I've seen the most over the past year is you have agents who truly work for their client, and then you have agents who truly work for just the commission check. And that's kind of what I want.
We deal with a lot of
we deal with a lot of all of it. And it's something that you've always said, like, don't count commission. Just make sure you treat your client the best that you can. And I would say, like, I have this one scenario. Well, I have a lot of scenarios, but this one that I will broach into today, I
thought you were about to call a name.
No. I'm going to try really hard not to say any names, but one of our buyer's agents had a client, and she was a first-time home buyer. She was so excited about this home, and our agent got her under contract. It was going to be a USDA loan, if I remember correctly, and she was just excited. Like, the lady never had anything of her own. She was older than me, and so first time home buyer.
I just picked up on who you're talking about.
We were so excited for her, and so now she picked out the gate. It didn't take me long to figure this out. Out the gate, I could have told you this was going to be a little bit rocky just because of the representation of the home on the other side of the transaction.
Seller side.
On the seller side, we're representing the buyer. I could have already told you this was going to be rocky, but she was insistent on this home. The buyer's agent tried her hardest to talk her out of this home, out of this direction, just for the simple fact of things that she saw immediately that were red flags. But this woman was just wanting this home. It was brand spanking new. She was happy. It was not completed. It was
in her budget.
It was within her budget.
It's
where she wanted to be. It was going to be the perfect fit for her. So again, it goes to, you have to do what your client wants you to do. So they did. We did. We handled her paperwork. We're waiting on this home to be completed. We are waiting on inspections. We are waiting on all this stuff. We are waiting. And when I say we're waiting, I'm saying we're waiting. I'm consistently in communication with the seller side, trying to get
consistently on the buyer side saying, let's back out. We'll find you another home because we're not getting communication.
We're not getting communication. We're not even getting documents signed to have everything to be completed if we're going to be 100% transparent here. It was like chasing people down to get that.
And there was always some big excuse.
It was always something.
Always a big excuse.
It was always
from
something.
The listing side of, oh my gosh, I got to go meet the seller. And that happens a lot.
It does. There are a lot of people that don't do digital signatures.
Do digital signing, but I jump into action and we make sure it happens quick. Mm-hmm. This was always a big excuse as to why we couldn't get this or why this was delayed or why. We know, Hope, you had January 12th on there and it's already the 29th and we've not gotten the paper signed yet. We know that, but there's always some big elaborate
It was always
excuse.
A thing. But with this situation, she was on a time crunch because she was going to have to renew her lease for the apartment that she was in. So we were assured by the sell side, by the list side, that we would meet this deadline. They knew we had a USDA loan, and the USDA loan had requirements that needed to be met before they could finish their portion of it. And long story short, I can sit here and I can talk about this all day long. But this woman, at one point, you went over to the home, and just to lay eyes,
to put lay eyes on it. So
we have so
buyers
many
agents
excuses.
And buyers agents have been vetted. They are good salespeople. Most of them have followed me around. They know what to look for and all that. This particular buyer's agent, she sold several houses and a great agent, still with us today. Very good agent. But this house was not far from where we lived. So on the way home one day, I said,
because we'd been getting so many excuses, and he wanted to see for himself where
like,
this
where are
property
we
is
at with this property? Like, why is it not finished? We're 30 days past when our original close date was, and you're still not knowing when we're going to be able to close. So let me just go see. I've built 29 homes in my life. Like, I can tell you what process and how much longer it's going to be.
We were waiting on the county to
give
pass
us
off on
CO
permits
or something.
or give us a
But
CO.
anyways,
That's what exactly. We were waiting on a CO.
Anyways, I go over there and I look at this house, and I'm walking through this brand new construction. I'm walking down the hall, and the hallway, the floor literally has rolls in it. Enough so to where I'm literally like stepping up and down. And this wasn't a flooring issue. This was a slab foundation issue. And then I go into the kitchen, and the cabinets are off by like 1.5 inches, not meeting up to the wall. And they're out of square. And
So we're seeing why it really hasn't gotten its permits yet.
Countertop was out of square. And I'm like, my 14-year-olds can walk in this house and tell you this is not a good house.
All right. So immediately, because of all the delays, you now know at this point why it doesn't have a CO. Okay, right? So we know that, and it's more than what we've been told. And then we go and we check with the county to only find out that the form that we needed had already been issued weeks prior. Weeks prior. Why we were not told that information, I do not know. But this sweet woman is coming up on her deadline, and she wants this house, even though Joe has told her the floor is rolling. She don't care. She is happy. This is what she wants. So we are fighting. Y'all are fighting. I'm just the messenger for this woman to get this home. And then at the last minute, I don't even know why they did what they did, but they did. They just decided to cancel the contract for some bogus something along the lines. Maybe we had not met some original deadline because we were waiting on them. I can't even remember really what it was. But long story short is this woman did not get this house. And they wanted her to resubmit a brand new, fresh, clean contract because
from where they had marked up our original contract.
Where they had marked up our original contract because it was going to take too long with the USDA loan to process out. Right? Like that was the deal. Like we talked to the lender. It was a lot. There was a lot. I can go into a whole bunch of other areas of this, down to the listing agent actually calling the lender and speaking to the lender and pretending as if they were the buyer agent on this property to get more information as well. Like it was a whole cluster of issues. And at the end of the day, this client did not get this home. Now, I see on our side that we saved her.
Absolutely.
A lot.
1,000%.
Saved her from a fiasco. But again, it goes back to if we didn't care, who you work with matters. And if we didn't care, we wouldn't have been so insistent on making sure all the T's were crossed, all the I's were dotted. And inevitably, because we did that, yes, she lost out on this train wreck of a home, but we were able to take her and put her in a different scenario that worked better for her and saved her from this. But my moral of my story is, who you work with matters, who you pair yourself with matters, because I'm going to go a little bit further and tell you that the communicator that I had for this transaction, I do believe with my whole heart, I do believe that communicator was trying to do the very best within the situation they were given.
I have a different opinion.
But I do believe that. But again, it goes to who you work with matters, and who your team lead is matters, because that transaction coordinator kept operating off of information from someone who wasn't credible. And at the end of the day, did the house ever sell?
I'm sure. I don't know.
I don't even know.
It's probably been a year ago.
Yeah, I don't even know if I can't even remember. Because Keaton was like, "Mom, hey, by the way," a couple months later, "Hey, Mom, there's
we were like, heck no,
run away from that deal."
No,
so
and he's
anyway,
our son, so we can steer him. I'm telling you, I'm steering my son.
We don't steer anybody, but we can. We did do that because like, no, we're not going down. No, But long story short, our buyer's agent as well now learned the valuable lesson of just
why it's important
to just.
And our agents will come up and go, okay, we're looking at this house, but here we are with this agent. And I'm like, if our buyer wants the house, let's go for it.
Yes.
And we have learned that we have to go in strong up front with the other agent and their team, their transaction piece, to know, like, you're not going to be able to run over us. And I'm not saying we're like bullies in real estate or anything, but our clients are very important to us. Very, very important. And it's more than just they're our clients. Like, we have developed relationships with so many people that have bought and sold houses with us that we talk to on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis, a couple of times a year as friends, not just as clients. And so that's very important that, you know, to make sure that your agent is going to advocate for you and going to make sure that you get what you need out of the transaction.
Because I think of that sweet little lady, and she would have been up the creek without a paddle if we had not. And no, she didn't get that house, but she wasn't meant to get that house.
Correct. And there's things over and over. There's stories that just, as Hope is telling some of these stories, like so fortunately, me and the agents aren't necessarily in the day-to-day conversations with these agents that just the bar has been, you know, the bar isn't very high, but Hope is. So she sees and has to talk to these agents, and
I'm like, where's your decent human being card?
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on.
There's a lot of wonderful ones.
Like, I don't want to come across as this is an agent bash session.
No.
This is talking about making sure that you align yourself correct, you know, the right way.
Whatever that looks like for
with
you.
The right agent. I'm not saying it has to be us, even though we are probably one of your best options. But it is
shameless plug there.
Make sure that you have the right representation. I'm thinking of another one that one of our agents put their client into a house, and the buyer was buying a house. We were representing buyer, another agent representing seller. The buyer had a home inspection, all this and that, you know, was made aware of the deficiencies in the home, and so wanted to correct some of the things. And so they went and were trying to dry out the foundation underneath the house. Well, I mean, that's just this is probably a whole nother podcast in itself.
We probably need to.
But it goes back to this client wanted this house. Like, I was like, buy a different house. This is not the house. This is not a good house at all. But she loved the house, and she loved the location, and it was her price. And she wanted this house no matter what was said. So ended up 3 months after she bought it, the house burnt down. Well, the agent on the other side was not very good. And I don't, you know, that is a shameless thing for me to say, because the agent was not good. The agent got on to my agent, our agent and buyer, for trying to fix the situation before closing. Like, they knew something was wrong with that house.
We do feel that to this day.
Absolutely.
Feel like that.
You won't convince me otherwise that seller and that seller's agent did not know something was wrong with the electrical on this house. And then, by golly, 3 months later, the house burns down to the ground.
Yeah.
So, you know, talking about representation, I would have absolutely told our client, if that were my seller, we have to disclose there's an issue. or we have to get it fixed. Like,
or why are you freaking out about something minute? If you did not know, maybe they didn't know. If the seller knew, because the seller's the one that freaked out about something, why are you freaking out about that minute little small detail? You know, but it is what it is. Again, who you align yourself with is important.
That's a whole nother That's a whole nother episode
we've
on that.
We've reached our limit. Drew has waved his hat 5 times at us.
So anyways, thank y'all for joining us. It is extremely important to choose your agent correctly, the right way. Align yourself. Do your research.
Yes.
Ask the agent questions to ask an agent. How many deals have you done in your career? How long have you been a real estate agent? What's the highest priced house you've sold? How many people do you have on your team? Do you have somebody?
If you're a single agent and you don't have teams,
that handles your transaction, how do you handle if you're a single agent? Do you have another job? Those are a lot of questions to ask.
Yes.
When you're interviewing agents, and that's actually my biggest gold nugget here or whatever. Like, interview agents and see who you're going to align with the best.
I would say that.
And so, anyways, that is this episode of the Gathering Place podcast. Join us next Monday for another episode. Who knows what we're going to talk about next Monday? We got all kind of topics going on, and the more we talk, the more topics come to mind. So it's been fun. So thank y'all for joining us. We'll see you next week.